Hello everyone, it is me, MrSneakyy, and it is part 2 of the tier lists. I know you guys like these tier list videos. If you've not checked out part 1, go back and check part 1. It's going to be all the epic heroes that's out currently, up to patch 1.012. This is now all the legendaries. And then part 3 will be the combination of all of the heroes together on where I rate them in like priorities and stuff, right? So if you've not, tuned into any of the other ones and you just tuned into this one, the basically ruling for me is the viability and how accessible it is to the player. Obviously, I give my reasonings above. I'll place them in the position where I think the majority of the player base is, but I also will show you where they are rightfully, technically, are if you have like a whale account, right? So we are into the tier list, as I said. So we're gonna go straight into it, and we have Hosk here. Hosk is, and I'll put Lilia next to him. So we'll go through these two first. These two are the two pay-to-win heroes. So if you don't know what that means, it's the two heroes that you have to purchase through the VIP system and obviously spend money to obtain their skulls or their legendary sculptures. You can't get them any other way. You can't try and pump in universals. It doesn't work. It's just this one way. However, if you are a whale, and I think everyone can always vouch for this, Hosk is an S tier hero and Lilia is an S tier hero. Both of these heroes in their respective roles are just dominant on the field. So Hosk allows a player to make any march punishing because the amount of counter attack damage plus crit damage plus the legion capacity plus the amount of attack damage and normal attack damage storage you put on yourself. Like it goes on and on. Like he allows any march to just be effectively a big massive DPS tank as well. So it's a great unit to have. As well as Lilia, like I say, Lilia is one which is just the powerhouse for mages if you have an expertise. Lilia, this absolutely dominates the open field. The amount of damage she pumps out with the probability chances and having skill damage increase. These two are like top priorities if you have them. But like I say, if you are a free to play player and you're not a spender, these would be considered D tier, right? So these guys are not going to be in your arsenal, so you wouldn't consider them. However, if you are a low spender, Lilia's still A tier because if you're going to be a low spender and you're going to just spend a little bit of money, if you can just spend, I think it's like £7, $7 or $10 tops, you can get her to a 5111 state, and giving her to a 5111 state is an amazing state. She does enough damage on her own, and she pairs really well with Waldir instead of having like an Aloe in there, so you can double up on the AoE. So overall, this is how I would actually position them in, like, for most players. You can, argue if you're a free-to-play player, we'll keep these down here. But if you're looking at the actual power level of these, they're definitely the two top. Like, they're insanely powerful, these two heroes, right? So now we move on to Nika. Nika is a great infantry hero. For me, she's just a B tier hero though at the moment. She is exceptionally the best in dealing damage at the moment. Obviously, the amount of enemy reduction in HP she deals is really good, as well as the damage factor, as well as when you expertise her, she deals even more damage over time with her bleed effect, which I think she applies onto you. So Nika is a very good commander, and she allows you as well, if you have her in an early game as a 5-1-1-1-1 commander, you can use her as an exceptional peacekeeping commander and use her to kill all the patrols and level up your other infantry heroes that you're going to use in the game. So for me, she's a B tier hero at the moment. Maybe in the future when there's more heroes to go with, maybe she's gonna be pumped up or she might drop down, who knows. But for me at the current state, Nika is a B tier hero. I'm sorry for all the Nika fans, it's just how it is. So now you have Emrys, and Emrys is a very good hero. Again, for me, I would put him in A tier. He just does his job exceptionally well, and his job is to flank those pesky marksmen and those mage units, and being able to deal a massive nuke factor and has the rage accumulation with the surrounding bonus on top. It allows you as a cavalry player to absolutely destroy people, especially when they're not looking on the map correctly. So for me, Emrys is a top tier pick. If you're playing cavalry as well, it's a really fun DPS role. You're not tanky like obviously like an infantry unit, but it allows you to get in and out of combat, which is really fun, especially if you're trying to raid. It makes you able to actually, go through a lot of things. It allows you to dodge a lot of mechanics because you're playing cavalry. So for me, cavalry players are actually really good in a good place just because of the damage and the mobility they actually have currently in the game. It's really good accessibility to you, and if you want to be a cavalry player, I would actually be like, yeah, go for it. It's going to be fun. When it comes to infantry now, you have Madeline, and after the patch 1.012 update, Madeline as well, she's an S tier hero. If we're going to now try and amend this tier list for the actual free-to-play players or low spenders, I'm just going to amend it to the correct list, which I think is around here. This is what I would consider the list to be. So Madeline's just insane now, especially after the changes to her. So before you had this big counter-attack damage buff, which was kind of nutty when you had it with Husk, but obviously Husk can still provide that buff to you anyway. But now with Madeline, when you have your shield, so your skill 1 primary active, her skill 4 activates when that breaks, and when that breaks, she deals basically like a big AoE fawn damage effect, which is a really cool effect because it punishes obviously enemies that are going to be popping your shield off for doing so. And if you're really good at keeping a really high rage uptime and keeping her on the field, the amount of passive damage you actually apply to people is absolutely substantial. So for me, Madeline, if you're looking for an infantry march, she's top tier. She's probably one of the best, if not the best, infantry commander in the game right now. It could be argued, but obviously we only have a small pool, but she is one of the best commanders in the game, especially if you want to play free to play or as a spender. The one thing to note, just to let you know, this might change just because obviously the changes to Madeline. If you plan to play infantry as a free-to-play player, just a note, if you're in raids, you won't be the top damage dealer, and in the open field, you will get prioritized a lot for being in the front line, so just take note that you might be healing a lot more on your troop side. So it's just one of those things to consider. It's like the pros and cons for having this unit type. So just, put that out there in the tier list. So it's a nice little tip to remind you guys as you go through. So and as just to put there, as we're almost halfway through all the heroes without going too crazy, remember, if you like this type of content, smash a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be doing, as you can see, part 3, which is going to be all the heroes combined, and I'm going to be also doing a pairing tier list. So just I hope you guys stay tuned for all that that's coming up. Okay, so when you come now to the next hero, you have Garwood, and Garwood is also an exceptionally good infantry commander. Is he as good as Madeline? Definitely not. Is he as good as Nika? Possibly. But he's not, in my eyes, as strong as Emrys or Lilia. He's got a very niche role, and it's a very good role, though. That's required in the game, and that is the fact that he is a super tank in raids. So if you're looking to be, like I say, a super tank player and you want to try and be the main tank and draw aggro and be that type of player for your alliance, you can do that by running a Madeline and Garwood combo. A Madeline and Garwood is just an amazing combo to have. You can also run, like I say, Garwood and then Madeline. It doesn't matter which way you run them. They both run the same trees as the tank and infantry as the secondary option after. The thing with Garwood is it gives you such big sustain and big damage reductions, and the fact that he's a garrison hero too could be considered, some sort of protection for your city walls, which is cool. But in the open field, we don't care about that. We only care about skills 1, 3, and 4, and the expertise, which is an upgraded version of his skill 1. So when you look at everything on that, he is a super tank, and he does allow this combo with Madeline to work, and it is a very good combo. But when you're thinking of investment choices, a lot of people might argue having a 5-1-1-1-1 Garwood is enough. It's very similar to having a Richard from Rise of Kingdoms, and having also him at level 4 might be just enough as well, because you've hit all the levels you need. You've got a decent amount of troop capacity on him without having to pump in a load more of your, totems in doing so. So it's one for debate. Obviously, I'd love to hear you guys' comments in below on Garwood himself, but that's where I place him. I think him and Nico are in the same boat. They both have very specific roles, but at the moment in the meta for the open field combat, it's not great. But for the PvE side, they're top tier, right? So when you're looking for choices for investment, you need to work on okay, what can I go with what, right? So this is, like I said, my opinion on all the heroes in the game so far, what we've got in the legendary category. So now we're on Nico, and Nico. So Nico, prior to patch 1.012, when he had the 25% attack speed buff, would have been considered the best hero in the game. I'm not even going to lie. This hero, if you never played him with a maxed out attack speed, skill 4, or even having 2 or 3 points into it, was shocking. Having a 5-1-1-5 Nico on the field with an expertise to go and win, the damage you would pump out was absolutely astonishing, because the way attack speed worked, it wasn't increasing the amount of attacks you was hitting per round, which people thought. It was actually rolling the percentage chance dices more often. So if you had a 25% chance on getting, say, 100 rage, well, that chance rolled again if you failed, because you have more triggers happening, and that's what attack speed was doing. And because of that, when you have other effects like Gwanwyn's poison and the normal attack buffs and all sorts of damage mitigation and damage penetration on top, it shredded the opponents. So that is why in patch 1.012 Nico did get changed. He got changed, and instead now he has 40% worth of stats. However, he is still S tier in the list. He's the best archer in the game at the current state. He's one of the best DPSs in the game still that we can see. Through raiding, through open field combat testing, what we've seen, the amount of damage he still pumps out is ridiculous with the 40% buffs you have, and the fact that you can still pair him up with, like I say, Gwanwyn or Craig now, which is still a cool option. It allows you to just pump out a load more damage. So if you're looking for an archer march or an archer commander currently in the game that's at 1.012, definitely look into Nico. Nico is a very top tier march. He's used everywhere, and he will give you good DPS raids and open field combat scenarios, right? So now we are at the kind of, I think, the controversial stage, and for me, I'm going to just pop her straight away in the C tier. She's really good, and she's really bad at the same time. So, Indis is the free-to-play character you get. Obviously, for a free-to-play player, you're going to have her maxed out over time, which is an amazing stat. So you could argue her tier goes up. But at the moment, with the current matches in the game and the way open field's played out, there's not very much room for supports being used. However, as you can see, they've added another one, which I'll go over soon. But she's a little bit different in regards to her effectiveness. But Indis is a good mage. She applies a good AoE heal with a damage buff. She provides some decent stats, but again, her skill 2 is a gathering skill. So she's a really good commander in that sense, because she fills a lot of gaps that were in the game. She's a gathering commander, so you can use her and level up really quickly through gathering. She's also a great support hero you could put with someone like with Alwyn, or maybe the new hero, as you can see now, that's coming up. But you can be doing this, and when you see her used, majority of the time, it feels like her buff isn't too game changing at the moment. Maybe, like I say, in the future, when there's a bit more variance in artifacts and the march setups you can run, it's going to obviously change that, and obviously change my opinion on her. But if you was going to use her as a mage, that's the thing, you could use her as a mage and you might see some great results. But for actual prioritizing for, oh, should I, max her out, or should I, level up as fast as possible? I don't really think so. Like, I think you're gonna level her up nicely through gathering, which is great. And when you need her in an open field, you might use her at the moment. But she's not going to be someone that's going to give you merits. She's, like I say, a support. And as a free-to-play player, you don't really want a supportive march on the field at the start. You want to be able to deal some sort of damage so you can get your merits and be effective in that regard. So for me, at the moment, she's just going to stay in the C tier. Maybe in the future she's going to go up, who knows. But out of all the legendaries at the moment, that's where I would definitely place her. So now we have Tia, or Fear. I don't know how you want to pronounce her name. She's the brand new legendary unit in the game. She's the brand new legendary flying unit in the game. And the thing is, for me, I don't know exactly without fully testing where she's going to be, but in my first impressions, she's definitely an A tier hero. And this is just because of the capabilities she has, as well as her abilities she has, right? So if I just quickly run these down, because I know I haven't done a first impressions video on them, but she does give you a 1000 shield bonus with a 15% skill damage bonus, and this is a massive AoE effect, so you could pair her with in this to try and make this super supportive mage comp, but you'll notice there's other characteristics with her that you could pair her with other marchers and it'll be far superior. Then she has a attack bonus of 15% and she takes 15% less skill damage reduction, which is great. She has a defense bonus and march speed bonus, which is again amazing. And then she has a attack bonus stat of 10%, which is a stack. And then it goes all the way up to 30%, so you get even more bonus on the when it stacks up to 30% on how much damage you're dealing. And then when you expertise her, it is a new increased shield, so you get, instead of one member, you get 2 members that get shielded. And when you have this skill damage increase on it, it also increases synergy, so it's a little bit more text that's added in basically on it all. So it is a nice, very cool combo to have. And the thing is, when you look at her and being an overall commander with the support tree and with the PvP tree, it argues the fact that you can pair her up with anyone. And the fact that you can pair up with anyone is terrifying, because her rage skill is an active rage cost. It's targeted on your legion, so you don't have to worry about the distance. So you're always going to get this 1k shield and a 15% damage buff. So if you pair it with a mage, it's great, because obviously you're going to be dealing a ton more damage and having some survivability. If you put it with a flying unit, which I think she was intended for, like Atheus or Craig, depending on what civilizations you've gone, she's again going to be super effective, making that flying unit even more mobile, and again giving them sustainability and tankability on the open field, so they don't just get melted as soon as you see them, right? And then on top of that, again, you can make an argument for the infantry and cavalry. It allows the infantry player to soak way more damage up because of her ability. Plus, when she's expertised, you're going to be shielding your allies as well, so you're giving the front line so much shielding that you should be able to sustain and like out tank basically the damage that's being put onto you, right, and being focused onto you. So she's, for me at the moment, I'm going to put her in A tier, and I'm going to put her very safely in the A tier. I think she's not going to be S tier at the moment. Maybe she is when we see her properly used, but through all the actual mechanics we've seen in the game and how overall units are being used at the moment, definitely I think she's going to be considered A tier. And like I said, like, you're going to be able to get her through like keys, which is good. So, and she's the new legendary hero, so let's carry on. Let's not go too crazy on her. So now we've got Bakshi, and Bakshi is a very interesting case where I don't know where I want him, because personally I want him in A tier, but he could be argued to be an S tier hero top for especially for free to play and low spenders, because if you're playing a cavalry player and you're not going to go infantry and you're only going to spend your gems on the cavalry wheel, he's so good. Like the damage nuke you can have with him on and an Emrys is ridiculous. The fact that you increase your health by 30% is ridiculous. The fact that you can also have some free peacekeeping damage on top, which obviously helps you early game, isn't nice. But then you have these other buffs with physical attack and march speed, and then you have the normal attack damage, the healing, and you have so much probability chance and effects with him that on the open field, he's so effective at his job, and it is so good to see that in a cavalry match. So it for me, I think he just outbeats Emrys only just because of his actual effect, because he has the same almost the same damage as an Emrys, but he buffs his own troops by 30% on health or 10% on health. It's just absolutely nuts how you're giving yourself such a great match. In like comparison, it's almost the same as like a Nevsky skill. Like it's a big nuke followed by a massive buff of stats. So just to try and give you guys like some sort of comparison, like that's how he works in his skill 1. So that's why I'm placing him in the S tier. You could argue in the A tier, but for me, I think I'm going to put him in the S tier. And that basically concludes the tier list. That is all the legendary heroes in the games currently of patch 1.012. This is obviously my opinions. You know, I'm not saying this is the gospel truth, but this is from all the experience I've seen on the open field, all the actual fighting and using of them over almost 2 seasons now. And this is, like I say, this list is tailored more for like the free-to-play players and low spenders. If you've got all the way through to the end and you're wondering what it would look like for a actual spender, again, the spender would look more something like this. I would suggest this is like the way the spender one would look. Like I say, Indis is not trash. She's not D tier or all like that. And she's not locked behind a paywall. That's why D tier for me exists. She's just not got a place at the moment, and this is the reasoning why, just because of how the Wales can prioritize and basically build their units, right? So I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash a like, comment, and subscribe. I know it's been a long one. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you stuck all the way around, remember, go back and check out the guide on the giveaway. I've got a 250 subscriber giveaway going on, and that is for a Google Play voucher for hopefully Call of Dragons if you're playing the game. So I hope you guys stay tuned on that and enter. But yeah, that is me out. Catch you guys in the next video, and peace.